Hi everyone, it's Sarah from Funky Fossil here, and I'm just stopping by to create a quick and easy and hopefully a fun card with you using our Space Cadet stamp set, our clear stamp set, which we released last month in November, and I was on Hochanda demonstrating this set. It proved really popular, I think, because it has such unique and fun designs in it, with our little Space Cadet either flying away with his planet balloon, or the stamp we're going to use today as the focal point, with him kind of bursting out of his galaxy, or here painting his own starry scene. So great, unusual artwork and designs that I think will appeal to lots of different people from a kind of both a card making and an art journaling perspective, and I've certainly really loved working with it. So what we want to do today is create a kind of cloudy sky for our spaceman to be bursting out of. And to do that, and this is all one layer, it's just a simple masking technique, but to create the cloudy sky we'll need to use our In the Cloud stencil, which is great for this kind of technique because it has these uneven kind of cloud lines cut into either edge of the stencil as well as the clouds in the centre of it. So I'll show you how you can create a great background with this stencil. This is what we're aiming for, but today I thought I'd just kind of make a little bit of a twist on this square card and have the Space Cadet coming out of a circular card, partly because I thought it would echo the actual circular focal point nicely, and also because I think it's kind of a bit more unusual and a fun touch to give to somebody a shaped card that wouldn't necessarily be something they could get in the shops. So to create our circular card base, I've effectively used a large circle die and placed that over the edge of a square white card base, so you can see that where the fold line of the card is at the top, the actual cutting blade isn't going to go through that. So when you run that through your die cutting machine, you're going to get a card that retains its fold, its hinge at the top. And when we get to finishing the card, we will just trim a little bit off the very bottom here to ensure that it sits nice and straight on a surface without rolling around, which is always a challenge with circle cards. So in order to create the card front, I've die cut the same circle die from another piece of plain white card, and this will be the surface that we work on, which we then adhere to our circular card base. So let's first of all put our spaceman into the centre of the scene so that we can then create the cloudy sky around him. And that's going to require me to stamp him up, because this is quite a large focal point stamp, and also one that has some solid black space in it. I tend to like to use a stamping platform for this, just because it gives me the opportunity to go back in and repeat the stamp to get the depth of colour that I want to have on that black background behind him. So placing it where you want, and I'm going for the centrally rough centre of the circle card. I'm just going to pick the stamp up, and I think this is a press to impress stamping platform that Crafts2 bring to us. It's a nice one to work with because it has both a foam base here, but also some give in the actual kind of lid, so you can really kind of get pressure where you want it on your stamp. And as you'll see, I'm pressing really quite firmly in the centre here, because this is where there's the biggest surface to make contact with my card. So you've got a nice clear impression there, but I don't know if you can catch that on the camera. It's a bit of graininess where we want to just go back in and strengthen that black colour. And this is where the platform enables me to do that. There we go. That's perfect. So having the opportunity to go in twice is a really, really helpful way of giving you confidence really with your stamping. So here we are, here's our little Space Cadet peeping out at us, and in order to stencil around him or over him effectively, we want to create a mask. Now I use the Clarity masking sheets that they sell. So with my stamps, when I get a set is stamp them out on copy paper and then cut around them with this stamping sheet, so that I've got a removable and reusable mask for whenever I want to do a masking technique. The challenge, of course, is always lining the actual stamp up, or the image up, with the actual mask. And you want to try and do this as precisely as you can. It doesn't matter too much for this technique, but if you were doing some masking with another stamped image to go behind this one, you don't want to create an echo. So if your mask is slightly misplaced, then you will be masking white card and you'll get what we call a white echo around it. That looks fairly good to me. So what I want to do now is just take some of the white, the stark white, out of this card base before we lay the stencil over the top. We just want to, I'm using tumble glass here, of one of the kind of palest blues I think that Ranger do, and this will just take that whiteness out of our cloudy sky. Otherwise you're stenciling over the white cards. Probably got a bit of ink there, you see, on the mask itself. Top tip, always worth wiping your mask down before you do this. It won't really matter for this technique. A bit of green added to our sky there. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. So it doesn't need to be particularly even or a solid colour, but it's just something for the clouds to sit against. So we'll go in now with our cloudy skyline. And because I'm now going for a slightly more concentrated application of colour, I'm going to move to a sponge dauber, because this will allow me to work along the line in a bit more of a precise fashion than I do with the blending brush, which is great for laying down a lot of colour straight away. So I haven't even put this sponge dauber into an ink pad yet, because I'm just really wanting to work off whatever ink I've already got on the dauber before I apply some more. And that just helps to ensure that you're building the colour slowly and not going in too heavy from the start. So as you can see, just working along this shaped cloud line is so easy to do, but it just gives you such a lovely effect. And again, this doesn't need to be too precise because we're going for a cloudy sky. And you notice there I just flipped the stencil round. We'll add a little bit more broken china to my dauber now, but just a very light touch. And if you're unsure, you can always start on the masked bit, because that won't show on your card, and then work off again, just to create some gentle colour there with the clouds. You can, if you want to, I think this may be some faded jeans, you can go in and darken that colour up and add a little bit of variety to your sky as well. So you can see there's a slightly darker sky. And just keep moving your stencil around so that you're not creating the same line twice. So I'll stay with the faded jeans here. You can see it's quite deceptive with stencils how much ink you're applying, and it slides off that mylar surface so smoothly. It's very easy to get a nice blend off it. Okay, so I'm going to carry on doing the same thing all the way down this card, and then I'll come back to you to work on our focal point. Okay, we're back again, and you'll see I've completed now the cloudy sky behind our Space Cadet. And all we need to do now to reveal the focal point is just lift that mask up, and you'll see the kind of crisp white of that stamped image popping out from the sky. So that already gives you a lovely kind of optical illusion of there being a layer in front of the clouds. And there's not an awful lot more to do, to be honest, because this is an image which doesn't need a huge amount of colouring in. All I'm going to do is add some spots of bright colour to the planet and the two planets behind the Space Cadet. And I'm going to use some Distress Oxides to do this. And do a bit of just a tiny spot of watercolouring. So I'm using some picked raspberry, so I want these to be kind of bright, kind of poppy colours that work nicely against that blue in the sky. I'm just picking up the Distress Oxide with my water brush. I'm not using watercolour card or anything particularly special for this design because I'm not doing a huge amount of wet work on the card surface. So there's our pink. Rinse my brush off, and then we'll go in with a bit of the bright poppy Twisted Citron. The brush is just a little bit wet there. And because I've used a VersaFine ink, that's waterproof, and means you can go back over any stamped image with your wet mediums and it will stay nice and sharp. So that's as difficult as the colouring in gets. Just add a little, actually I'll add a little bit of the citron to the front of his space suit, and we'll add a little bit of silver to his helmet. And this is an Izink or Izink product, the kind of the pigment inks from Southampton. This one's in silver, and I really like this one for using with the Space Cadets because it's very easy to work with. I'm going in, just adding that touch of silver to make it look like he's got a helmet on. Just got quite a wet brush here. There we go. Just that inner helmet as well. Okay, so should we do his let's do his suit too. This is a problem, isn't it? Once you get colouring things in, it's hard to know when to stop. So his hands and his suit just have that little bit of silver shimmer. Now all we need to do is add a sentiment to this card, and I'm using one from the Space Cadet stamp set which says that you are out of this world. I'm not using my stamping platform for this one because I'm it's a relatively small stamp to lay down, and there you go. It's come out nicely under the focal point. So all that remains to create this card is to adhere it to a circular card base and just take out, just crop a tiny bit, a tiny straight line at the very bottom of the card here, directly, straight down from where the fold is above, in order to just give you that little bit of stability when the card is stood upright. So I will finish the card and show you a picture of it. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing me work with the In the Clouds stencil and Space Cadet stamp set. Thanks again. Bye.